Hi, this is Tony from freshcapmushrooms.com, and today we're actually going to be building a laminar flow hood. Now, I showed you in a previous video the process I went through to spec out an appropriate filter fan combo, so if you want to choose your own filter and your own fan, definitely go back and watch that video. Otherwise, if you just want to copy exactly what we're doing today, there'll be a link in the description of this video where you can go get all the build plans, all the dimensions, all the components, and the exact fan and filter that we're using today. I'm getting some help with this build today from my good friend Jeff over at the Homestead. He's got the tools and the skills needed to actually put this thing together. And if you guys want some really awesome content for home renovations and even some really cool DIY hydroponic setups, I'd highly suggest checking out his channel at the Homestead or his website, thehomestead.com. Definitely check that out, and I'll put the links to that in the description as well. The main frame of this box is going to be built out of 3/4 inch plywood. If you have a smaller filter, you might be able to get away with 5/8 or even 1/2 inch plywood, but you want the box to be quite sturdy because the fan is going to be rotating really fast and it might vibrate. So you want to make sure you at least have 5/8 inch plywood. We're using 3/4 inch shop birch, which is a nice smooth plywood, and that should be plenty sturdy enough once it's all put together to hold the fan and take up the vibration. We're also going to be supporting the inside of the box with a strip of 2x3 that should help with the frame. So the basic process is pretty simple. We're going to cut all of our plywood for all sides of the box, screw it all together, and then put a hole in the top where the outlet of the fan can go. And then we're going to figure out a way to mount the fan on top of the box and wire everything up. So here's some of the materials we're going to be using today. There's the filter and the blower fan, which I spec'd out in the last video. We have some wood screws, obviously. This is an electrical cord that we're going to cut the end off to wire up the fan so we can just plug it in. We got the stuff that we need to make a switch, some cable as well for that switch. And then here's the pre-filter. This is what's going to sit on top of the blower fan and prevent the HEPA filter getting clogged up with unnecessary stuff. I also have some weather stripping here. This is what we're going to use at the inlet of the fan into the top of the hood, just to help mount that and seal that off. So now we have all the materials that we need to get started, and let's go ahead and build this thing. Okay, so when you're trying to determine how big your box needs to be, you got to think the fan's sitting on top of the box and you need at least 6 inches for your filter. Some filters are even bigger, up to 12 inches, but the one we have today is only 6 inches, so that the outlet of the fan's got to sit at least 6 inches back. The top of this box is going to be 20 inches wide, which will give us plenty of room for the filter and for the fan to sit.
Right. Yeah, right there.
So this would be the top?
That'll be the top now.
So these are the two pieces that we cut for the top and the bottom of the flow hood. As you can see, when it's cut with a saw like that, it's a pretty rough edge, so I'm just going to go ahead and sand that down.
So when we go through our top and bottom pieces, we need to put our furring strips, the portions that are going to hold our filter in place, the correct distance back from the front of our box. So our filter is at 6 1/8 of an inch, which means we need to set these strips back from the front portion.
So this is the piece of wood that we're going to put on the top piece of plywood, and we're going to flip it upwards just so it provides some structural support for the fan that's going to sit on top of the box.
So we're going to glue and, well, we'll glue, we'll clamp, we'll pre-drill our holes, and then we'll screw it together. And pre-drilling all of the holes. So if you don't pre-drill with the side of plywood when you're going in this way, your plywood basically will just wind up cracking and splaying outwards.
Now we have the main frame of our box built, and we know that the filter fits. So what we're going to do is fit the fan on the top of the box.
Okay, so we're going to pilot drill our 4 corners with just a bit big enough to drop our jigsaw blade in, and then we'll finish the full cut with a jigsaw. Okay, so now we'll build up a little raised edge here all the way around. All right, so as we add in our blower, or where our blower is going to attach the actual fan unit, we want to be able to seal the edges. And so we're just using weather stripping here to seal the inside, and we're pinching it between our mounting flanges to keep it all in place.
So yeah, now that'll form a seal between the outlet of the fan and let's see what that looks like there. So that fits in there really nice, and you can see now there's a tight seal. You never know, we might have to go in and put some caulking or something around the edge just to make sure we have a tight seal, but for the most part, it should be good. Now the only other thing with this build is now there's a gap underneath between the back end of the blower and the top of the box. So we're gonna put a little shim under here just to help support that fan. So we've also gone ahead and put some bolts through these strips that go all the way through the fan, and they bolt on into the inside just to make this thing nice and sturdy on top.
Somewhere about there, if you want to hold that guy.
So now we're just building a separate box that's going to sit on top of the main flow hood to hold the pre-filter, and the idea is to just be able to slide the pre-filter in like this, so you can take out those major particles before it hits your main HEPA filter. So we're just building this box out of the same plywood that we're building the rest of the box out of. It definitely doesn't need to be made out of 3/4 inch or anything this thick, but we have the plywood, so we're going to use it anyway. This slides right in. So now it comes time to actually wiring up the blower, and full disclosure, I'm not an electrician, but I'm following the wiring diagram that's on the side of the blower here, and we've got these 5 wires, heavy gauge extension cord, and we've cut off the end here to reveal the wires to help wire it up. And on the other side will be a plug that we can just plug into the wall. And then in between this, we're going to put a switch. And we're going to mount a switch onto the side of the box here so that we can just easily turn on and off the flow hood with a switch. So again, full disclosure, I'm not an electrician, but I'm going to wire this up the way I think it should go, and we'll see how it works. We wired it up the way it says on the side of the blower there, so orange going to red, white going to white, and blue and black going to black. So all that wiring just gets bunched up into that junction box, nice and safe, and we're almost done with wiring up the fan.
Okay. Off the ground.
So now the last thing to do in the front is to put these strips on the outside to press against the gasket of the filter to keep the filter in place. Okay, so the strips are on the front. Now the filter's nice and secure inside the hood. Now all we got to do is put it back on this thing. And originally I was going to put some silicone on the inside edges of the filter, but I really don't think we'll need to, because the way these strips go on here, it's actually a really tight seal between the filter and the inside of the cabinet, so I don't think using any silicone is necessary at all. We're putting in the back now to close up the cabinet.
So we're just gonna put a couple furrow strips, or furrowing strips, inside here. So when we put the back on, pretend this is the back, if we were to put it on, we have something to butt it up against so it doesn't just fall all the way into our filter.
Done. Okay, so the back's on now. The one final step is to silicone the back just to make sure no air leaks out the side. So that's it. This flow hood is built and pretty much ready to use. Just want to show you kind of a quick overview of what we did. So there's the whole filter. We have the blower fan up top. This filter here has a pre-filter. Comes down to the switch where you can easily turn it on and off. And the wires wrapped around that sweet looking mushroom. And the filter's nested nicely in behind those strips. So you could easily go ahead and change that HEPA filter if you ever needed to. So you could easily use this cabinet for many, many years. Then around on the back side, just plywood again, that's sealed all around the edges with silicone. Okay guys, so that's it. This laminar flow hood is built. And it does take a lot of work, but if you do have the right materials and the right people helping you out, it's definitely possible to build it. So again, if you want to build this exact same flow hood that we built here today, there's a link in the description of this video. It'll take you to our site where you can get a list of materials, you can get build plans, and all the components that we use to actually put this thing together. So definitely go ahead and check that out. And that's it for this video, guys. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Tony from freshcapmushrooms.com, and we'll see you next time.